When I first started trying to get better at building in The Sims, I used to browse through real estate websites and floor plan websites all the time to try and find build inspiration. It's just really helpful to see a picture of a real life house and then kind of use that as a starting point for your Sims builds, especially because a lot of the time it's really hard to know like what's realistic and what looks good on real houses to then be able to easily translate it into The Sims. And it's been so long since I last tried to recreate a house from a floor plan, and so that's what I want to try and do today. I found this floor plan online, and I think that this one is going to be really easy to recreate in The Sims, and that's why I picked it. I wanted to do one that hopefully some of you could like follow along with me if you wanted to try as well. Now, the problem with real life houses sometimes is that oftentimes the back and sides of the house are really ugly. They put a lot of effort into like beautifying the front, and then the back just looks like this. I'm sure many of you probably relate with how your real life house looks. I don't mean to call your house ugly, but like my house is like that, my parents' house is like that. Like they just don't put effort into beautifying the like other sides, you know? But I also think that these floor plans are super helpful kind of as like a starting point, because a lot of people struggle a lot with trying to figure out how to lay out these rooms. And so when you see how somebody else does it in real life, it helps give you some ideas on how to do it in The Sims. So I don't know if I'll copy this like exactly, but I'm definitely gonna use it as my inspiration for the build. I was gonna do it on this lot, and when I went to bulldoze, I kind of realized that like it kind of looks like the new house that we're gonna replace it with. So it feels appropriate, right? It's fitting. I tend to struggle with scale a little bit on things like this, so I'll warn you right now, I might end up like bulldozing this a couple of times, but we'll see how it goes. There is also the slight problem that this house has a garage, and you know, we don't have garages in The Sims 4. That is a very common issue when it comes to recreating real life houses in The Sims. We're just gonna have to pretend, and we can do that right now if we want to do it first, because sometimes when I'm trying to make these fake garages, especially on a house like this where I'm trying to just use the base game and like maybe seasons, it's kind of weird to like pretend to do a garage door. But generally what I'll do is I'll use like some siding and some columns, and I'll try and make it look a bit like a garage door. Maybe I'll put some windows on it, kind of something like that, so it sort of pretends to be a garage door. And then I might furnish this room to have like a woodworking table and some gym equipment, and we can just tell ourselves it's a garage even when it's not. If you've got Snowy Escape, I actually use this door as a garage door a lot. As you can see, it fits pretty well on short wall height. It's actually supposed to be a medium wall height door, which is very annoying to me because, as you can see, it is just barely taller than short wall height. But that doesn't bother me. Usually I'll just like let it clip a tiny bit, because like really who cares, there's gonna be a roof there anyway. And then this will kind of function like a garage door because it's so big. It looks a little bit better than the pretend one, but if you've just got the base game, this also works really well. Before I start trying to roof this though, I want to tell you a little bit about today's sponsor, Casetify. I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with Casetify by now because they sponsored us a few times, but Casetify is a phone case company with like a bajillion options. First of all, they've got like endless print options. I kind of switch between this strawberry one and my dinosaur one most of the time because I can't pick which one I like better, but they have so many cute cases on their website, and a lot of them are customizable, so you can put like text on them that you can customize the font and layout of and stuff. Most importantly for me though, these are very protective cases, which we all know I need because I am so clumsy. Sure, they're cute and all, but like I need to have something to protect this thing because I cannot be trusted with it. This is one of their impact cases, which they say is 6.6 feet drop test approved, and I will say I haven't like held it above my head and dropped it to the ground to test that, but it did fall out of my hands and kind of down the stairs once, and my phone's fine. Their cases are non-toxic, non-hazardous, and their impact and ultra impact cases are made out of 65% recycled materials. They also come in 100% recycled packaging, which is really important to me. So if you're in the market for a new phone case, maybe for you or for a gift for somebody else, you can go to casetify.com/lilsimsie and get 15% off your order. I'll have that link down below if you want to go browse or anything. I'm a big fan of Casetify, so thank you again to them for sponsoring this video. And with that being said, let's get back to the build. All right, I'm gonna stick that house picture on the screen here so you can see what I'm trying to do with the roofing, because I realized that what we've built so far looks really silly, but once we put the roofs on, it's all gonna make sense. I might also make this house a little bit skinnier. I feel like that's gonna fit it a little bit better. And as a general rule of thumb, when I'm doing the roofs, oftentimes I'll try and put the roof on the widest part of the house first. So that's gonna be like this part for us. And with these gabled roofs, I like to have them go like long ways. So by that, I mean, I want that pointy bit to be on the shortest side of the roof, right? And then the longest bit is gonna be just a big, long, flat piece piece of roof. I do that because oftentimes I feel like when you put it this way, like the wider it is, the bigger the triangle gets, and sometimes I think it looks a little bit silly. So instead of doing it like this, I would have that widest bit be the flat part. Does that make sense? I'm also probably gonna lower it like maybe 2 tiles down. I think I like the height of that a little bit better. And I'll do another gabled roof on this part in the front, and that's because I want this like small triangle to be like a decorative piece. I want to see that triangle there. And I might even make that like 1 taller. Quick pro tip for roofing. Oftentimes you'll see things like this where it's like not quite lined up with the other roof pieces. I always drag it back so that it like completely goes flush with the roof. I think it looks better like that. Maybe I'll lower this another one. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put that piece of roof over here above the garage again. And then I'm gonna take this roof from the main building and I'm gonna duplicate that over the garage. Something else I like to do with these roofs is that I'll always have all of the roof pieces that are on the same side of the house be the same angle. So for example, I wouldn't want this one to be taller than that one. I think it looks better when they're like the same pitch. And I'll do the same thing over here where I prefer how it looks if these are like the same versus one of them being a little bit taller. This time I'm gonna probably drag that straight through across to the back of the house. And then we'll get a little bit of a roof on the porch right here. And honestly, I think that might be all that they did in the real life house. I guess they have a little bit of something over here, it looks like. I need to look at the floor plan again to figure out what it is that they've got over here, but here, I'll give them that too. I built this entire house wanting to use this like beautiful deeper green color, so I'm gonna put that around like the whole exterior because I really like how it looks. I might need to figure out something else for the garage, but we'll deal with that in a second. I will also deal with the back in a second because I'm not sure what to do with that either. But for now, this looks good. Maybe a new roof swatch. We can get some pretty roof trim on here. You know what? I think I might also stick a little bit of a roof piece right here. I kind of would prefer to have something else, like some more architectural shape there. I think that looks pretty good. I will say it is really bugging me how there is no trim right here. Like basically I want something like that on the corners. It is really bothering me how there isn't something like that on the corners. I might put some columns there just to cover it up. I'm gonna use just the base game and seasons on this build because I want to use some of these seasons columns. I feel like the real house's columns are a little bit prettier. I like how they're kind of more tapered, but these will do. I also want to use seasons windows because they're just so beautiful. The seasons doors too will also fit very nicely here. I'm just gonna say it. The season stuff is really good. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at that picture of the house again. I did this wrong. I think that it needs to be this kind of roof piece over here. I'm not so much loving how this house looks. I won't lie to you. I am not the biggest fan of this build. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, I think. There's something about the roof. It looks a little bit taller than I want it to. So I kind of want it to be, yeah, I think that's better. They also used such a beautiful wall right here with the green and the stone, but I don't know if I should use that green like everywhere. I mean, we could definitely try it. It's certainly a different look than what we've got going on, but that might also make the garage look better. So maybe we should try this. It doesn't hurt to try. We could also put the columns like all around the corners ourselves. Oh, I hate that. Okay, usually I would use a different column. My preferred pick is this one from Get Together. There's also a good one from Snowy Escape because they're, you know, straight. They don't have any like fancy bits going on to like throw it off. The base game is kind of lacking in that sense. We have these round ones, but I don't like them. I think I'm gonna put this thing right here. It's cute, right? I'm also gonna put this trim here on the porch. This is probably my favorite one out of all of the spandrels. I just think it's so pretty. Okay, and unfortunately, moving on to the back for a second, you can see on the picture that on the back, they don't even have this roof piece going all the way through, but this is just so sad. Like, I cannot just leave the house like this. We have to do our own thing. We need to do something on the back. If we left it to them, the back is just gonna look like this, and that's it. We can't do that. That is ridiculous. Oh, you know what? I might let myself have a tiny bit of a platform, literally just because I would very much like to have there be some sort of difference between the porch and the regular ground. I know the door is kind of clipping. I don't care. All right, sorry, the back. I need to figure out the back. I might do something similar with like a little bit of a porch back here. Oh no, the door is clipping more than I thought it would. Oh, I might not be able to do that. Okay. I came on here thinking I was gonna make a lovely tutorial for you, and instead I've only caused pain. Well, because the front is so symmetrical, I'm kind of leaning towards trying to make the back a little bit differently shaped. I'm sort of liking how this is looking, but I'm also not really sure if it's weird or not. Also, I forgot to paint the roof. That's my bad. Oh, and these columns are so close together. That's horrible. Whose bad idea was this? Maybe if I scooted it over. I guess this being a little bit bigger isn't a bad thing. It's not a good thing either. Do I just put 2? Oh, the vibes are off on this house. I'm not gonna lie to you. The vibes are way off on this house. How much does it bother us that the columns are stacked like that? I mean, if you just don't look at it that closely, it kind of bothers me over here too. But again, if you just don't look at it that closely, maybe it's fine. I love how it looks up there because you can't see the base. Maybe if we made the porch a little bit smaller, or if there was no porch. I'm just gonna put some windows and try not to think about it. At least over here, I can drag that column all the way up. It's just in the parts where there's a roof that I can't. I like can't drag it past the roof. Does it let me do it over here? No. See how I just can't drag it? It like doesn't work. It's okay. I did like the little bit of stone at the base. I think that kind of helps. Maybe I can do that back here too. It's ever so slightly more interesting. I'm not sure what I want to do with the windows down there yet, so I might just come back to that once we like actually start furnishing the house. But otherwise, I guess we could just have a patio here and like a smaller door kind of leading out the side of it. That's fine. We could put this little tiny metal thing. Oh, that's actually kind of cute. All right, the front's still bugging me, but again, we'll deal with that later. Although I guess now kind of is later. Like I probably should do it now. I'm just gonna use like a base game platform trim. I'm just not really sure which one is best, like which one fits in best. And now the fun part, which is trying to figure out how we want to do the pathways leading up to the house. I think that this kind of thing is always pretty nice. I'm never sure if it's like too boring or not, but it's definitely like a decent looking driveway and little walkway. And then we can just put some landscaping kind of around this. I might have some little paths. We can always do a small one kind of on the side. I'm not really sure yet, but this is easy. We could also put a debug car if we wanted to, because again, there might not be cars in The Sims 4, but there are fake cars. I want to use some black lights on either side of the garage and also on either side of this front door. And then I'll probably put another one. Ooh, it's not enough space. Oh no. I don't know what to do with this, so I'm just gonna leave it for a second. Same thing with the back of this garage. I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna not for a second, and then we'll revisit. Let's get some beautiful like giant trees to kind of fill in the lot a little bit. We'll put one there. Maybe we'll get like 3 total kind of around the yard. And in that picture, they've basically got like little flowers kind of lining the front. I think theirs are like little red flowers. I'm not really sure if I want to do that or if I want to put bushes. I always like to use these. I know I always kind of default to these, but I just like them because they're sort of low lying, but they're also like very floral. A lot of the other flowers that we have in the game are like really tall, so these are just a little bit easier to use for like lining a house like this. I don't know if I want to use pink or not, so I need to think about it. I think the yellow stands out more, so let's do yellow instead. Let's put a little bit of terrain paint underneath each of these things because that will help make it look less silly, I think. And then we'll need a mailbox, probably one just kind of on the end of the driveway there. I'm not sure if this should be only 2 wide or not. Is it better just 2 wide? Or should I switch it completely? Wait a minute. What if it was something like that? That actually, I think, looks a lot better. And then we could put the mailbox kind of on that corner. What do you think about that? I think it's pretty. Let's do a nice wooden porch there in the front. And now I'm kind of just thinking like, okay, where can I put some bushes? Just to have like a little bit more stuff going on. I'm not really sure if I should put like any of these same flowers over here, but it might be kind of nice to have like a little tiny planter box next to the garage. I'm just not sure like what the what the best way is to blend it in, because if I want it to match, it has to be a little bit bigger. Oh, hang on. Is there, I mean, we have like that single one. It's just that's taller than the others, so it's throwing me off. Oh, we have this one. That's the right height. There we go. Okay, just like the one little tiny bush. Oh, that might also be weird. I don't know what the best thing to do is. I'm gonna get a debug car. When in doubt, just hide your mistakes with very large fake cars, right? Or perhaps a train. That's always an option. Okay, I think I'm gonna use this like kind of greenish one because that totally matches the house. And I'm also gonna have it be like ever so slightly not straight. I don't want it to be like perfectly straight. Oh, that helps. And if you just look at the house from like this angle, problem solved. Just don't look at this. Just don't look at this part. I guess we could probably give ourselves like a little bit extra, and then I could just wrap it all the way around the back. Okay, maybe that's better. I don't want to think about it anymore. Okay, honestly though, what we do need to do is the floor plan of this house because we have been avoiding that for long enough. Let's do some analyzing, okay? So you're meant to walk in and there's like an entryway here with the stairs, a powder room, so like a little small bathroom, a walk-in closet, the door to the garage, and also a study. And then you go through that entry. There's like, I think some arches on either side, and there's a big living room, a dining space, and a little kitchen. And then upstairs, we've got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a giant walk-in closet, and also a laundry room. This is where things kind of start to deviate, I think, from our actual build, because number 1, ours is a bit bigger. We've got like some extra space in the back over here. But number 2, I don't always think that it's necessary to have walk-in closets for my Sims builds. Technically, you can do them with some of the packs, but for the most part, I just feel like it's not necessary. And also, we're playing with just seasons in the base game, so we don't have laundry, and the scale's always kind of off with these. Like, there's gonna be a real walk-in pantry in these real-life houses, and obviously we aren't gonna be able to fit that in our build. It's a little bit too small, so we'll take inspiration from, but not copy exactly. I do actually quite like the idea of that study next to the entryway, especially because ours has a little bit of space there for it. And they've got like a little bathroom right here, which I also quite like and think we could totally fit in. I don't think we can fit that walk-in closet they have. Ours is a little bit smaller than theirs. And they've kind of drawn it across this way. And in the real version, this is the kitchen. And then there's like a dining room and a living room. Like, this is a little bit small for us to have a wall there, I think. So what I might do instead is have the staircase kind of in this area. We can keep this as the living room, and then I'll probably have the kitchen be back here and have like a floating dining table. I'm just gonna put some rugs down to like hopefully help you visualize. I'm thinking we could have the living room back here. We can do like a fireplace on this wall, maybe some big couches, kind of like that. We can have some kitchen cabinets kind of going along like that, maybe one further down. And then we can float that dining table sort of in the middle of the room. Maybe 4 chairs. We could probably fit 6, but it depends. There could be a different rug underneath that. We could get like a nice big door coming in from the garage because it's kind of like a secondary entry, you know? Put a smaller door into that little bathroom and then maybe like an archway into that office space. You know what? This floor plan came together pretty nicely actually. And it's also kind of fun to have like garages in your Sims builds, even if you don't actually need a garage for a car. Because think about how many things, like maybe your Sim is a scientist and they need this giant microscope. Where else are you gonna put that? Or like the woodworking table. Maybe you want to make a little studio corner for an artist. Maybe you need a bunch of gym equipment. Like, there's so many just things that are useful to have an extra room for. All very good ideas for this fake garage space. And then the upstairs. This is where the problems arise. Ours is already messed up because we moved the staircase, but also this has a lot of rooms that we're not going to use, like the laundry and walk-in closet, so that might help us. We're kind of on our own for this though, so I'll explain my method for doing these sorts of floor plans. Usually I use the staircase as like the main starting point for all of the floor plan in the whole house, because kind of everything else has to come off from the staircase. And it also kind of is usually pretty good at dividing the area. Like, I look at this and I'm thinking, okay, maybe there could be a bedroom in this corner off to the side from the staircase. And then maybe this could be a bedroom. Well, it looks a little bit weird, so maybe not. But it's an idea. I guess we could potentially do something like this, but it kind of depends how big the rooms end up needing to be. Because right now these are kind of small rooms. Oh no, delete, try again. I don't like this. That's the other tip. It's okay if you need to redo it like 5 times. I also need to redo it like 5 times. Okay, well, I will say, I think that this could be a good primary suite and they could have an ensuite bathroom. This room is sad because it's got the weird clipping. I don't know. We'll have to put like a bed over it or something, but that's a decent size, like, nursery or something. I guess it's also possible that we could expand it out a little bit more if we wanted to, but then I kind of have to cut into this room, which I'm not sure if I want to do. Oh, it fits a double bed just fine. That'll be okay then. Let's keep it like this. Less hallway, more bedrooms. That's always a win. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with this. The reason being, I really hate having doors in the corner like this. I don't have a good reason for that. I just don't like it. Like, it just bothers me to have a door right in the corner. I feel like also because the door kind of clips. Like, do you see how on either side the door isn't like fully out? Like, the door is a little bit wider than these walls on the corners. It fits perfectly on a regular one tile wall, but the corners it kind of clips into, so it always bugs me. So I usually try and avoid having doors in the corner like that, but that's probably the best we can do. And with this, we should have 2 bathrooms upstairs, a 3rd bathroom downstairs, a little hallway right here, and then 4 bedrooms and an office and a big living, kitchen, dining, open floor plan space, and a garage. So this is actually a really big house. Oh, the door. The door is so terrible. I really, really want there to be a little bit of a platform. I just think it looks so much better, but I think that the clipping is too much. I think that the clipping, especially in a house that I'm building like for you, it shouldn't be clipping like that. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is put a couple of windows out here on the side of the house. I oftentimes leave the windows on the side of the house until the very end. I know that's kind of a weird thing to do, but I do have good reason. As we discussed, oftentimes real life houses have very ugly sides and backs of the house, and that's because you prioritize the window placement from the interior and not from the exterior. And so if I place windows on the side of the house, it's gonna look, you know, fine. But it's a little bit easier to place them from the rooms later on. So now I know, okay, I'm gonna put a window inside of this bathroom because I wanna have one there. And it'd be nice to have a second window in this bedroom. But before, I didn't really know where they were gonna need to go, so I waited until the end once I had done the floor plan. I also kind of have been avoiding doing the windows on this garage, but I might just put one right there. I think that's nice. It'd be nice to have a window in the garage anyway, especially because it's supposed to be like a multi-purpose sort of space. Now the backyard is huge, so I'm kind of thinking that I might want to fence it in. I might just have it go like directly to the sides of the house like this. That might actually save me some stress if I do it like that. And you know what? I might even give us a pool. I feel like it's a really good size for it. Like there's so much space for a pool back here. I'm not really sure where I want to put it though. Like would it be better if it were closer up to the house? Or is that like not how people build pools? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, this is also really bugging me because I wanted to use this tile out here, except doesn't line up with the door. Plain we go. All right, you're getting just plain instead. Sorry. It looks better this way. I can't tell if this shape of the pool is weird or not, or if it's cool. Like I'm honestly not sure. I don't really know. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put a couple planter boxes down here. I think that'll help too. Of course, it's like a different color yellow. I don't even wanna, I don't wanna think about it. All right, now obviously this house is not completely done. I didn't even furnish it, but I think what I'm gonna do is cut this video right here and put this on the gallery for any of you who wanna try and furnish it yourselves. Way back when, like before I was doing YouTube and before I started building a lot in The Sims, I used to look for things like this on the gallery all the time. I wanted to have like starting points so that I could download a house that was pretty for my legacy Sims and then use that house and furnish it myself. I just didn't really know how to build or how to do the roof, and so I kind of just didn't want to. And so hopefully this video would help, one, teach you, but also give you like a starting point if you wanted to use it. I did just use seasons in the base game, so hopefully a lot of you can download it. It's 28,000 simoleons just for the exterior, but granted, there is a pool. There is a giant pool. And I also left a couple furniture pieces inside just to kind of give you a starting point of what I was picturing for the layout, but obviously if you want to change it, like, it's not a big deal. Furnish it however you want. It's your build now. it's your choice now. Thanks again to Casetify for sponsoring this video. You know I love Casetify and they have been so great to us in the past. And you can go to casetify.com/lilsimsie and get 15% off your order, which is a huge discount. So I'll have that link down below in case you want to check it out. Thank you all so much for watching. Have the best rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. You know what? This house turned out cuter than I thought it would. I was worried in the beginning, but it came around.